Hello. I want to talk about 2 Timothy 4. Read a little bit of 2 Timothy 4 today. So, 2 Timothy 4. I charge thee therefore before God and the Lord Yeshua the Messiah, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word. Be instant in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. But watch thou in all things, enduring afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make proof of thy ministry. For I am ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Okay, so I think that's good right there. Now where am I going with this? Christians, um, you should be able to question your pastors, and they should be able to give uh, what's the word? They should be able to give um, full proof of their ministry. So, and I'm talking about this because yesterday I was out and about, and there's some people that were on the side of the street, and they're handing out like Bible cards to their church, and I started talking to them, and it was several people. It was about 5 people from their church, and I started talking to them, and um yeah, it seems like the Christian church thinks that talking about doctrine is um like being a Pharisee. They kind of called me a Pharisee. I mean, the conversation started off pretty good, but um, other people joined that were walking around, um, and we were kind of all were talking, and I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm still trying to learn how to speak. I'm not really a talker, dude. So it's my mind's going all over the place right now. Like, um, now I feel like kind of talking about something else, but so there's this man there, and he comes up and he's like, I'm with you guys. I support you guys. And they start talking about the government. And I go into Romans 13, how the government is appointed, for punishment to disobedient people. And he shook my hand. He agreed with me, and started telling me to keep the Ten Commandments. And he's like, yeah, the Ten Commandments. Yep. Got to keep them, blah, blah, blah. And um, he's starting to walk away. And I tell him, keep the Sabbath holy. It's Saturday, dawn to dawn. Um, Saturday dawn to Sunday dawn, and he looked at me and he was like, I can't do that. I own a business, and he kind of gave me this look that was like he felt sorry for me, like it was a look of like I felt sorry for him, and he's feeling sorry for me. It was like a weird, you know, circumstance. But it's just kind of sad that like you know just keep the 10 commandments, man. You don't get to pick and choose what 10 commandments you keep. On the seventh day God rested. He rested when he created the world. He rests now. It's the day when he heals us, when he visits us, when he spends time with us. We're supposed to rest and spend time with him. um you own a business, dude. What a shitty way to not get into the kingdom. Like, you did everything but you didn't keep the Sabbath holy. Like, wow. you know Crazy. But anyway, back to the story. Once that guy left, the members of the church just stopped talking to me. They were like, "You're being very aggressive," and and they just pretty much stopped talking to me. And I called them out on it, and I told them, I should have read this chapter for them, but you have to give an account for your ministry. If you're out here handed preaching the gospel to people and someone says, "Tell me what the gospel is. Tell me what you believe in." And then you'd say, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you what I believe in because you're being aggressive," which honestly, I was not being aggressive in the least, in the least. And this is how, like, I don't know. I mean, I work with like all men, and I'm not really used to being around women. Like how I talk, that's how everyone I'm used to talks. I don't know, dude. No one that I work with or anything would say you're being aggressive. Like I wasn't being aggressive. They just couldn't answer the questions, and in their mind, the questions are like not polite because I'm making them uncomfortable because they can't answer the questions, and I guess I don't even know what I'm doing here today. I guess this is like a venting. I'm venting, but also let's just read this again. I charge thee therefore before God and the Lord Yeshua the Messiah, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, extort. All long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And this guy was explaining his doctrine to one of these other people, and he's like, "We just love. You do you, you do." I mean, these are the literal exact words coming out of his mouth. You do you do me. We just love, and we just, dude, like, you're no different than any of these other piece of shits out here that think, I don't want to name names. We all know what I'm talking about, but these people that go around claiming, they just love one another and stuff, but you're not telling people to keep the 10 commandments, and you're in your love, you're allowing people to break the 10 commandments, and that means you hate your neighbor. And I told them what loving your neighbor is, and they don't really want to hear it. Let's see if I can find this real quick. That's funny. I don't have that. Okay. Leviticus 19, 17, 18. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in their heart, but shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor. So when you're going around saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace, telling people that, you're trying to be accepted by these people. Like you're preaching the gospel, but you're really like worried about like what some random person on the street thinks about you. You're worried about like, how they if they're judging you, or if am I being nice enough, or like this is how they preach the gospel. Oh, we just love everyone. But you don't love everyone because you don't even teach them to keep the 10 commandments. You don't you didn't give an account for you didn't make full proof of thy ministry. You stopped talking to somebody and this is why Christianity is like a big, we're supposed to be like one man. We're all supposed to agree on the same thing. There's not supposed to be 40, 50,000 different doctrines. Oh, go to this Jesus, go to that Jesus, go to, and you start telling people, his name's not Jesus, and the eyes start rolling, and what does the gospel say about his name, But I know you that ye have not the love of God in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. So, Joshua Yeshua is Joshua is the English translation of Yeshua. Jesus is a Greek name. It's after a Greek Roman demigod. You know, and the Messiah warned you, and many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. Beware of false prophets, which come into you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves. Um, for the time will come where they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. I mean, how many warnings do you want that there's going to be false teachers, false doctrines, for false Christ and false prophets shall arise. For many folk come in my name saying I am Christ and shall deceive many. He told you the whole world will be deceived. If you love me, keep my commandments. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yeshua. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life. And hereby we know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that saith he abideth in him, ought himself also so to walk even as he walked. How did he walk? He kept the commandments. So, I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But, Christianity nowadays. Say something someone doesn't like, ask them to give an account for their ministry, ask them to explain something, and you're aggressive, and they stop talking to you. Bunch of pansies, bunch of sissies, and I chewed one of these guys out. There was a couple of younger women I wasn't really talking to. It was one of the men mostly, and I cussed him out pretty good there at the end because he's a liar. He's an absolute liar. He's out here preaching, quote unquote, preaching the word of God, and he's just doesn't know what he's talking about, lying to people, won't answer questions, lying about the word of God, what the word of God says. He's changed the word of God by telling everyone, no, you do you, I do me, just love. It's about, and anyone that says anything about that is a Pharisee, total bullshit.